A final vote on the stimulus package and a new idea for cutting government. Hi, I'm Chris Casteel in the Washington Bureau of the Oklahoman. I'm here with Congressman John Sullivan, a Republican from Tulsa. Congressman, thanks so much for coming in. It looks like you guys are going to vote tonight maybe or tomorrow on the stimulus package. The last time there wasn't a single Republican vote for it. Were you surprised by that, and do you think that'll be the same situation on the final vote?
Yes, I do. I think I wasn't surprised by that. This bill doesn't do much. It's sold as a jobs creation bill, and only 5%, 7% of the bill creates jobs. The rest of it creates 30 new government programs. It's a massive spending bill. Probably the largest spending bill we'll ever see in the history of our government, hopefully. Hopefully we'll see another bigger one. But I think you'll see the same kind of vote. Republicans are against it. Democrats are going to have to own this thing. And, I just don't think it's going to work. We should focus solely on emergency and crisis issues and the stimulus of creating jobs, not golf carts and other things that are unnecessary. Those things may be important, but we can do that in a separate process, the appropriations process, not this process.
What are you hearing from the people in Tulsa about this bill?
Well, people are really upset about it. No one I found really likes it, Democrats or Republicans. It has bipartisan angst. People are concerned about their jobs. People are losing their jobs. They're scared. They don't think this is going to work, and they want to see something that gets to them. They think that spending all this money is ridiculous, and Washington needs to tighten its belt like they're having to do in their homes right now. They're making tough decisions.
What about the tax cut portion of this? I mean, I know the Republicans had an alternative tax proposal, but do you think that the tax cuts in this that I guess go to all levels of income and some small business, but not as much as is a tax cut portion of this going to have any kind of stimulating effect, do you think?
Well, some of the tax cuts will, but a lot of them are rebates. 28% of them are rebates going to people that don't pay taxes.
Right.
We need to look at things that are going to help people immediately. One of the ways we can do that is cut the payroll tax. People would see that in their next paycheck immediately, not a year from now, not if someone invests. But tax relief is important. There is a dynamic economic effect of tax relief. That money bounces around our economy several times. So it's certainly a piece of the puzzle. It's not in and of itself not the answer, but it's certainly part of it. And we've seen Reagan cut taxes, John Kennedy cut taxes, and it works. Other countries in economic slow times have used tax relief to stimulate the economy as one of the tools, and I think we should do that as well. But some of these tax cuts are all right. I think we need to focus more on small business because right now we're seeing these big layoffs at these big companies, but 75%, 70% at least of our economy our jobs are created by small businesses, and they need a break. They are laying people off. Collectively, they represent a lot of jobs, and we don't hear a lot about that.
Now, you are introducing legislation this week that would take kind of a new approach to cutting federal programs. It's something that Congress rarely does, which is to eliminate any kind of program or spending. Let me let you describe it. It's similar to how the military has dealt with base closures.
That's right. It's based on the BRAC bill that closed a very successful model that closed some of the unneeded military bases. We based it on that, but this is even better because it addresses all government agencies. And again, this bill today, this largest spending bill, creates 30 new additional federal programs. That's why it's so imperative that we look at cutting some of the waste, fraud, abuse, duplication, and seeing if states can do a better job than the federal government. No one seems to be against this. Barack Obama's talked about it during his campaign a lot. He said he wanted to go through the government line by line. He said that he wanted to make sure we root out waste, fraud, abuse, and duplication. That's what this bill does. I've actually talked to Barack Obama. He likes the bill. Rahm Emanuel called me a week or so ago.
White House Chief of Staff.
White House Chief of Staff, Rahm Emanuel, I served with, called me and they wanted a copy of it. They're very interested in it. I think this is a way that we can work in a bipartisan way to reduce the size of government and rooting out waste, fraud, abuse, and we could save billions of dollars.
Would this go, I mean, look at the entire, would they have to go agency by or department by department, say take on the agriculture department first? I mean, this would seem like a monumental task in taking on all these huge departments.
Yeah, it would be, but they're going to have a staff, and it would be a bipartisan commission set up. The president would appoint people, the House, the Senate would. be bipartisan people that would serve on this committee, have research and staff support. They would submit to every Congress a report for an up or down vote, and they would go through all these things. So they would have the resources to go through that as well.
Now, the president has, as you said, promised to go through the budget line by line. That's not something that Democratic leaders in Congress have done. And in fact, would this, for them to support this, would this almost be an admission that they weren't doing their own work? Because clearly that's Congress is supposed to oversee the spending at these departments, get rid of duplicative programs. I mean, would I assume be kind of admitting that they can't do their own jobs by turning this over to an independent commission.
Well, that could be the case. But I'm getting a lot of support on this bill. I'm dropping it today, Chris, and Democrats and Republicans are saying they want to support it. And we'll see when, if their names are on it or not. But I'm getting a lot of support. But, going through the government, looking at these things, it's a big government.
Right.
I think it's high time we do it. We've talked about it for a long time. And, there's always going to be, if someone they're sitting down at their table, an American that's suffering right now, they find out, oh my gosh, we've been paying 2 electric bills. Let's get rid of one. That's duplication. They would do it. Why can't we do that in the federal government? We need to do that. And I can tell you, Chris, we do have waste, fraud, abuse, and duplication in the federal government.
I did a press conference a couple of weeks ago with the new Agriculture Secretary, Tom Vilsack, who said one of the first questions he asked the staff there was how many people work at USDA, and they said they couldn't tell him. So,
well, there you go.
Congressman, thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And look for more on this in the Oklahoman.